All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to EVTN News. And I have some interesting news for you. I'll get to that at the end. Today, I want to talk about just a few different news stories. Usually, I get a lot of my news from Canon 212. And today's news is no exception. So, Pope Francis, and this one's from Gloria TV actually, Pope Francis personally blocked an excommunication of Father Marco Rupnik, a famous Jesuit artist who is accused by several consecrated women of sexual assault and psychological abuse. Uh, that's pretty horrible. I mean, the crimes, plural. Uh, the crimes themselves are pretty awful. Earlier this year, canonical trial convicted Rupnik for absolving in confession an adult and consenting female sexual accomplice. The verdict was unanimous and the punishment was excommunication, but a few hours after the sentence was announced, Francis lifted the excommunication at Rupnik's request. The Company of Jesus, I guess, I don't know, are they talking about the Society of Jesus? The Jesuits had already prepared a statement on the matter but was stopped. The Jesuit Procurator General described another sexual relationship dating back to the 1990s with a consenting woman, which was not part of the trial, as gruesome. He asked for a trial, but Francis prevented it. On November 30th, Rupnik received an honorary degree. November 30th, like a few weeks ago, Rupnik received an honorary degree by the Pontifical Catholic University of Parana, Brazil. The Jesuits said in December 2nd statement, did it update on? Sorry, it updated on me. Maybe it's just, all right. Let's see here, 1 second. So I stopped at the Jesuits said in December 2nd statement, they have barred Rupnik from hearing confessions or conducting spiritual direction. That's all right, though. He's not excommunicated because Pope Francis intervened. Wow. That's rotten. And, wow. I don't have a lot more to say about that. I mean, besides, he should be excommunicated, but Pope Francis blocked it. I mean, what else do you say? What else can you say at this point? This is completely compromised. Bishop Anthony Taylor of Little Rock, Arkansas, on December 1st published a post-synod response to the faithful, providing questions for synod discussions to continue while diocesan leaders meet to discuss how to implement recommendations from the local phase. So this guy, he's a rainbow bishop, Francis Bishop, I guess you could say. Stands for all of those rotten ideas. And what do you think if your diocese had a synodal post-synodal synod? Well, isn't that clever? Isn't that awesome? Not really. No one was enthusiastic about it in the first time around, and so what makes you think people would be enthusiastic about the second time around? Like, come on, this is really cool, guys. This is really awesome. We're going to talk about other religions. Well, actually, the post-synod response in this diocese highlights 11 major themes that emerge from the process that also aligns with feedback received by dioceses nationwide. So basically, it means all of these talking points that the bishop wanted to implement that he didn't receive enough input or he didn't receive enough support for, and so he's going to bring them back up and they're going to discuss. I'm sure it'll be heavily moderated. But here's 11 major themes: community/fellowship, youth and young adult faith formation, desire for the faith to be taught from the pulpit, need for Catholic support groups. So far not terrible. Need for priest presence, accountability, transparency, trust, and communication. Perception that the church engages politically. Okay, now here's where it gets bad. That's 11 major themes. Perception that the church engages politically. So I think that's actually, I interpreted that as being negative, that the church should not oppose the slaughter of the unborn. All right, here's another one. Rigidity of church law, especially regarding divorce and annulment. Judgment versus love. LMNOP issues. Rural parishes feel abandoned, and the role of women. Okay, so we're going to have some kind of heretical synod. You know, I just heard in a podcast today, Father Gregory Hesse said that St. Thomas Aquinas says that heretics should receive capital punishment. Anyway, just a thought. I don't know if I necessarily endorse that idea, but I think that heretics should at the very least be declared heretics and excommunicated, but that would require a Catholic pope and a Catholic hierarchy, neither of which seems to be the case at this point. All right, so this is a little bit more of a secular news story, but a news agency owned by the Russian government said that President Vladimir Putin signed a law Sunday banning propaganda of non-traditional sexual relations, gender reassignment, and pedophilia among all ages. Wow! So, he sounds a lot different than what the media would portray him as, but the media, I'm sure, hate this. But wouldn't that be an ideal society? I mean, maybe not ideal, but wouldn't that take more steps towards improving society? So this news agency is called TASS. It reports that the ban includes propaganda disseminated via books, movies, social media, advertisements, and traditional media. Oh, good luck with that, but that would be amazing. Individuals who violate the new law could be slapped with a fine up to 400,000 rubles, which is 6,400 US dollars, while organizations could face up to a 5 million ruble fine, which is almost $80,000 US dollars. Organizations, $80,000 fine for disseminating LMNOP propaganda. Wow. And we're giving money to the other guy. who's banning liturgies in churches. Yeah. Anyway, all right, this is another in-depth story. So I don't know, you may be familiar with the Syro-Malabar controversy. This is primarily in India. The Syro-Malabar Rite is primarily in India. They do have some churches across the world, and I think there are several in the United States and large population centers. At this point, they've become basically like modernist Novus Ordo liturgies or masses or whatever you call them. Unfortunately, I mean, I went online to look and see what an actual Syro-Malabar Rite liturgy looked like, and one of the first ones that came up was people singing "All Are Welcome." So there you go. Anyway, but in this story, a judge has granted an Indian archbishop's request to see police clear protesters outside his residence amid a supercharged liturgical dispute in the Syro-Malabar Catholic Church. Police will also provide the archbishop with an escort when needed, the judge decided. So, I mean, there are violent protesters outside this archbishop's residence. And they're just constantly there. That's pretty incredible, but they're on the wrong side of things. The Syro-Malabar Church, which traces its origins to St. Thomas the Apostle, is the second largest of the 23 Eastern Catholic churches in full communion with Rome, after the Ukrainian Greek Catholic Church. Under the proposed 50-50 formula for the Eucharistic liturgy known as the Holy Qurbana, the celebrant faces the people during the liturgy of the Word, then turns east for the liturgy of the Eucharist, which is pretty standard in a lot of liturgies. The formula has been adopted by all other Syro-Malabar dioceses and is supported by Pope Francis, which is shocking considering that he has banned tradition in the Roman Rite. but the vast majority of clergy and laity in this particular archdiocese, I'm not even going to pronounce it. It's the largest diocese in the largest archdiocese in the Syro-Malabar Church. They oppose the change, arguing that priests should be allowed to continue facing the people throughout the liturgy, a custom that they have followed for more than 50 years and believe is faithful to the reforms of the Second Vatican Council. So they're modernists. And Pope Francis is supporting the traditional practice, which is, like I said, that's unbelievable. As long as it's not in the Roman Rite, I don't know. But anyway, there are people protesting angrily because they support the modernist liturgy. That's that's crazy. That's very, very crazy. Just food for thought. I don't really know. I don't know. You wouldn't see Novus Ordo parishioners protesting a lot of stuff like that. Maybe you may get a few like far left people holding up signs saying we want to stick with our traditions of the last 50 years. But anyway, 50 Italian Novus Ordo priests have denounced themselves as LMNOP in a public statement. Their manifesto was written during a course for pastoral personnel in Bologna. Without wanting to be sarcastic, they accuse the Novus Ordo Church of homophobia. They claim that silence is the only way to survive in the Francis Church. The priests even think that there is a witch hunt for LMNOPs in the seminaries and that they only received harsh words from the church. That's very strange, considering that LMNOPs are supported in the seminaries and encouraged, and they say silence is the only way to survive. Kind of funny. I can think of several priests who identify as LMNOP publicly, and they haven't been suspended, which is a major scandal. But the moment you've all been waiting for it, the major scandal. Okay, so I want to give a little bit of context to this. George Neumeier has, he's been breaking a lot of news throughout the years. After, say, 2020, he's kind of been staying home and not breaking much. He's been talking a little bit about politics, and that's been it, because I follow him on Twitter. But now he's back up and running, and it's always great to see George Neumeier firing on all cylinders, because he went quiet for a few years. I thought, okay, what's he up to? And now he found out a story that has not been, I don't think it's been promoted at all in any of the media, any of the Catholic media. So shame on you, Catholic media. Embarrassing. Because when you hear this story, you're going to be disappointed at the popular Catholic media too. And this is why I do this channel, so that you guys can see the news that's going on. And I'm trying to find, I try to find the stories that maybe don't make it into the mainstream headlines. I mean, a lot of them do. I end up pulling a lot of those because they just kind of bleed together with all the different Catholic media sites that I kind of research. But this one hasn't made it really anywhere. I think Frank Walker on Canon 212 has shared this, and it's worthy of a ton of attention. So, all right. Here's another Bishop Nestout scandal. Bishop Barry Nestout, former Secretary of McCarrick and current Bishop of the Richmond, Virginia Diocese. He keeps in ministry a priest caught having a relationship in a parking lot with a man. No, okay. George said, I just looked this up. The parking lot priest, Father Wayne Ball, is the pastor at St. Augustine's Parish in the Richmond Diocese. And then he said, I called the Richmond Tribunal about Father Wayne Ball. I had read that he served on it before his pastorship. The woman with whom I spoke seemed scared and then hung up on me after I asked her about Ball's public sex criminal record. Yeah, he has a criminal record. Now, the charge was waived, I believe, but it happened. That's what it, he said. I talked to Ball earlier today, and he confirmed that he and Nestout left his congregation in the dark about his guilty plea for public activity near a park notorious for LMNOP cruising. Ball yelled at him. Ball yelled at George Newmeyer, "Leave me out of your story." So it happened, and he's in active ministry, and the bishop knows about it, and the bishop keeps him in active ministry. Now, Bishop Nestout, I believe he was on the he's the chair of the committee for the USCCB protection of minors, which he didn't do a very good job protecting minors under McCarrick, but that's a side note. But now this is a major scandal. Like, I'm serious, guys. This is huge. I mean, I hope that someone picks up on this story. George is really, go follow him on Twitter if you're on Twitter. I mean, come on, give him some support. You know, he's breaking this story and no one's picking it up. And people need to talk about this stuff. This is going on right in front of your face. Do the parishioners know? No, a lot of them don't. Some of them might eventually. Kind of like Monsignor Grinder in Wisconsin. Is it Wisconsin? Yeah, in Wisconsin. Disgusting. Why are you putting these guys in ministry? All they want is they want a person. They don't want priests. They don't want pastors. They just want people. Because they're trying to fill a numbers game. All right, this parish, we need a priest for this parish. We need a priest for this parish. And well, this guy, I mean, he had an affair with a man. This guy, he had a he was using an app pretty much every day for 3 years. But it's okay. It's all right because keep that money coming in, and it's not a lot of money now. And by putting these guys in ministry, don't you think it would hurt their pocketbooks? I mean, come on. It's ridiculous. And this story here, shame on the Catholic media, really. You didn't pick up on this at all? I mean, are they being funded by an organization to not publish stories like that? I mean, it's disgusting, but you need to hear about it. Regarding the church in India, do they have the language? Do they do the language in the local language, probably vernacular, or do they do the language in like a sacred language, I guess is what you're asking? Now, I don't know. I mean, based on the fact that they're modernists, I'd probably guess they would use the vernacular. It breaks the heart hearing what is happening in the church. Yeah, but I mean, the thing is, we're cleaning it up, like people like George, he's bringing this stuff to light. Kind of like the Cardinal Tobin stuff, the male model living in Cardinal Tobin's rectory. That was the story broken by George Newmeyer. He's going on the ground and doing this research and trying to figure this stuff out. I don't understand why you have more subs. I hear news here that I don't hear anywhere else. Yeah, well, I appreciate that. I mean, lately I've my enthusiasm has been a little down, but when I see a story like this, I have to get on the internet and share it. I mean, no one else is. No one else is. That's the thing. Ciro Malabar is Eastern Rite. That's why it's shocking. They are modernists. Yeah, for sure. This is big, and any kind of little, any kind of like smaller diocese. There can be scandals. You can get away with stuff in smaller dioceses, but with social media, it's becoming more. The information is being spread around a lot more. You can't. People are finding out where the good priests are, and they're going there. I just don't know. I know there's a lot of stuff that goes on. You can get away with a lot of stuff. Maybe not even criminal stuff. Maybe you're just Maybe a priest has some men living in his rectory. You know, we've been hearing about it more and more. Priest has a male friend. I mean, Cardinal Tobin had one, apparently. So, I don't know. But I'm happy to bring you this kind of news. Anytime I see something like this, I'll share it. And I guess I just really hope that other media outlets share this stuff. Pick up on it and spread the word. So, all right. Well, my idea for EVTN going forward is to maybe, talk about fewer news items, maybe make it a shorter video so that you can get some information in a more condensed format, maybe. I mean, this is starting to run a little bit past 20 minutes, but that's just what I do. Saves me time too if I do less stories. I don't have to research as much, but this is a big scandal. This specific story is a big scandal. So get on Twitter, get on social media, share George Neumeyer's information. This is something that needs to get out big time. And these are types of priests that need to get out, right? Get out of the church. And it's going to take bishops. It's going to take real bishops to get them out. Not these fake bishops. George Neumeyer made an interesting point. He said, does Nestout do nothing because he himself is also compromised? I think Bishop Daley made similar comments at a USCCB meeting several years ago. He talked about fellow bishops being compromised. How true is that today? Okay, this has been EVTN News. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, we are the laity, and we will not be silent.